All right, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Jamestown colony, and I have my handwriting is not that good on here, but I'm gonna do my best. Um, well, one of the first permanent settlements from England was in Jamestown, and this is the beginning of the colony that would become Virginia, and then later the state that would become Virginia. Well, in 1606, King James uh, decided to give a charter to what was called the Virginia Company. They tried to establish a colony in 1607, what today is Maine, but it failed due to the hostility of the Native Americans. Um, so a more auspicious beginning was made 100 miles up the James River in what I in what was is today Virginia. And the site was filled with disease-carrying mosquitoes, um, but it was well chosen to defend against the Spanish and also, uh, well, I wouldn't say Native Americans, but in this case, the Spanish were their main concern. Remember, all along the East Coast, the Spanish had claimed it, but as a result of, one of the reasons they weren't able to really defend their claim was because of the defeat of the Spanish Armada, which occurred in 1588. So, um, the types of people that went were not the kinds of people that were really conducive to starting a colony. First of all, you had the urban poor, and this is the key, is that they were urban, which meant that they didn't know how to farm, they didn't really know how to hunt. I mean, if you were to go and you'd start a colony, these are not the people that you would really start with, nor would you want to start with the other group that went, which were a bunch of spoiled aristocrats. These were people that, basically because of their family name, all right, they were part of the nobility and they just wanted some adventure. So this was just a recipe for disaster. All right. I mean, if you're going to go and you're going to start a colony and you're going to have to live off the land, you're going to want to go and get some people from, Cameron Parish or Allen Parish or something like that. People that know how to live off the land and don't mind eating squirrel brains. Now, because this was a recipe for disaster, the whole colony would have all starved to death if it weren't for not if it weren't for John Smith. And he basically, uh, you know, uh, said, well, you either work or you starve. Another reason that they survived, ironically, was because of the Native Americans. And of course, I say ironically, because later on, um, there's going to be a lot of, this was not good. Let me just give it to you from the Native American standpoint. This is not good from their standpoint. I don't know if any of you have seen Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. Don't watch it if you don't like a lot of blood. If you do like if you're a weirdo and you do like a lot of blood, you would love it because they're cutting out hearts and sacrificing and all kind of stuff. So you weirdos may love it, but if you don't like that, it's not very good. But the reason it's called Apocalypto, of course, is because when you think of the apocalypse, that's the end of the world, and for many Native Americans, in a way, it was the end of the world and end of life, their life as they knew it. Really, Smith was soon leading the whole group by sheer force of will, like I said, under the threat of expulsion. He made everybody work. And he did a good job of negotiating with the Native Americans. Ultimately, the arrival of new settlers was accompanied by Smith's return to England, and due to an accidental gunshot wound, without Smith's discipline, the winter of 1609 and 1610 was particularly harsh. In fact, they called it the starving time because obviously a lot of people were starving. Now, this is not, we're not talking about like, you're just hungry around, 6 o'clock in the evening. You have the envie for some macaroni and cheese. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about real starvation. And so um, the Indians, they started getting tired of these people, so they discontinued their welfare program of corn. The Indians were supplying them with corn, and so basically, people started eating rats. I've never eaten a rat, although I've lived in other places before. And when I tell them that we eat squirrel, they're like, "Oh, that's just like rat," but it's not. All right, a good squirrel gravy, there's nothing wrong with that. And they ate dogs. Never ate dog. Um, Cats, and of course, all these things. You would not mind at all if you were starving to death eating a dog or a cat. Meow. Sometimes they ate horse. I did eat horse once. I was in Belgium, and you can go to the store and buy a horse. It wasn't really that good. And one man actually um, cooked and ate his wife. I don't know what the deal was. Um, they didn't have marriage counseling back then, so he was hungry, and so he killed her. He was later caught and executed himself. Now, whether they ate him or not, I do not know. And we will continue in a bit.